Hello, welcome to first C# and SQLServer tutorial. In first tutorial, we want to build a simple application for our contacts, and we want to see how do we build a database, a simple database, and we store data in it, and how we connect to that database using C#. Okay, first tool we need is SQLServer, and I have installed SQLServer 2005. I can access my SQLServer instance using SQLServer Management Studio. Okay, I don't want to change anything right now. I just want to select connect, and I'm connected to my database server. SQLServer uses network connections to respond to the requests. So this tool is connected to the network service of the SQLServer instance, is installed on my computer, and when you open the SQLServer Management Studio, it gives you the server name, the version of it, and all of the required data and all of the management tools. Here you can build a new database and you can manage your databases. There are some objects here you see in these nodes, but I don't want to go in deep right now. Let's leave all of them for later. I just want to go to databases. When I click here, you see in my object explorer, I will see my databases. These two databases are built by me, and I want to build another one for our application. New database, I just right click on the object explorer, I press new database, and this is my database name, so I call it my contacts. That's simple. The other things are done all automatically, and there are some other things, but I don't want to go in them. Just I want to have my database. I just enter the database name and I press OK. My database appears here, and I can access my database details like this. Okay, there are again some folders here. I don't want to go in them except the tables. I have system tables and nothing, so I don't want to go to system tables. I do my right clicking and I select new table. SQLServer is a kind of relational database, so we can build some tables. Tables are like the tables we draw on the paper. There are some columns and data goes under them. Okay, now I have my column. Okay, first thing I need for having some contacts is, okay, first name. I don't want to use name because name is reserved. If you insist, you can use, but I don't prefer it. The data type. I suppose people watching this video know about the data types, at least the types in programming languages like C, C#, Visual Basic, or something like that. The data type is called string in C# or other languages. Is called nchar and nvarchar in SQLServer. So, sorry, nvarchar and nchar are a little different. Nchar has a fixed size, but nvarchar has a variable size. I have nchar 10. 10 means 10 characters. If I add one character to a field, I insert one character to a field, or 10 of them. Most of them have same lengths, which is not very suitable for me. I prefer nvarchar. Nvarchar, if you enter one character, your length will be one character. So I write nvarchar. Nvarchar by default is 50, has a 50 character capacity, and this is fine for first name. Okay, the second field is last name, and again nvarchar. Okay, I select nvarchar, and a field for phone number. Again, and var I don't want to change the defaults, let it be 50. You can change the number in these parentheses. And address, for example. Sorry. Address. And let it be again varchar, but 50 may not be enough, so I can change it to varchar max, or we can add some to it, but I prefer varchar max. Okay, that's it. This is the things we need to have a table to store people and their numbers and their addresses and all of these things. Allow nulls field allows nulls to be inserted to database. Nulls means nothing. So I leave it here. I want to have that, no problem. Then I save the table and I call it my table. That's it. You have your table. I see my table now here. I can right click on it and open table. Now in open table I see it like this. I have an empty data table. So I can write my things in it. New guy is a phone. Check the phone number is something and the address is here. The second one is my friend, for example, number, and his address is over there. That's it. Just pressing enter is enough. You don't need to save. There is no save here. Databases, we don't need to save things. We just send some commands to the server. Okay. But how SQLServer communicates? How we can send something out of the this program and have some answers. We use SQLServer response to SQL. SQL is a structured, it's a structural query language. Microsoft uses some dialect of it. It's called TSQL. But what is TSQL? If I can, I want to access these kind of these data, these tables, all of the objects through in the SQL server, I can use commands or a language. So I can just click here, new query, and it asks me the same questions about the server name, database engine, and these things. I don't want to change them. I just press connect. Here I choose my database. My database is my contacts, and now I'm connected to my contact database, and I can run some queries. But what happens? What this program does to show us this table? Simple. It runs this very simple command: select star from my table. As long as I'm in the database, I can access the objects in that database. So I just run this command: select the star from my tables. Now I see my data here. That's simple. So if I send the same command from another program to SQLServer, it responds back. So that's good. We can do same thing from CSharp. Okay, let's do that. Okay, I write Visual Studio 2012. And in the very first screen, I just built a new project. C#. C# is located in other languages. C#. You can click here or here, doesn't matter. The first choice is Windows Form Applications, the thing we want. So then I change the project. I call it My Contacts. That's it. I just click OK. Okay, C# by default gives us one form to start our program. On the left side I have my toolbox, all of my components are here. On the right side I have Solution Explorer, and under it Properties window, Property Explorer. So I have a form, I can run it right now without any changes. That works easily and shows us a form, an empty form of course, with 3 buttons, and I can resize it, I can minimize it, I can maximize it, and I can close it using the cross or the close button. Okay, now I want to build an application that sends the same command to SQL Server and returns back my data to this application. Okay, that's simple. I want to show you some older components first, which is not normally available on C# now. You have to add it by yourself. I click on the general, in the body of the general thing. You see here is I have a SQL connection, SQL command, and SQL data adapter. But normally you don't see it if you open your Visual Studio. So how I bring it here, I just right click on the body of this general thing and I select choose items. In the .NET framework components, you can search and find some of them. Okay, it takes a long time. Okay, now we are good. I write SQL data adapter. I select it. I have selected selected it previously, so I can just leave it here. You can connect it. Click it, check it. Then I have SQL command. I need it. It is again checked in my computer, and SQL connection. All of those 3 you can select it. Then at the end you just press OK. Now they are here. I can use them. SQL command, SQL connection, and SQL data adapter. If I double click on SQL data adapter, data adapter configuration wizard pops up. Then I can use this one to connect to my database and send query to it. Okay, new connection. Here, this is my data source, SQL, Microsoft SQL Server. Then server name, of course my server name is my computer. I want to use it locally. I can use my computer name, or for the default instance of this SQL, I can use a dot. Just a dot is enough. But okay, let's check this one. Okay, now I can select a database. Okay, of course. Now it browses my databases, and my contact is the database I want to access. Test connection, let's see. Okay, it works well, that's fine. I don't want to go to details in the authentication thing and all of this. Just leave it like that. We'll talk about it later. The address thing is nothing. Just press OK and you are connected to the database. Now you have your connection erf-pc2.mycontacts.dbo. DBO is database. Owner is a schema is a schema, and we don't want to talk about it right now. Okay, next. Use SQL statement. SQL statement is the same thing as we did here. So I can copy and paste this one and this one, or I can build it graphically. Okay, next I can paste it like this here, or if you don't want to, for more complicated ones, you don't want to copy and paste it or write it by your hand, you can just use Query Builder to build your query. As long as I'm connected to the database, so I have access to objects. So in table, my table, I just add it to my Query Builder and I close this window. And if I click this one, it says selects my table. That star means all of the fields from my table. That's it. And if I execute the query, I will have my data here. That's fine. This is the thing we want. Just press OK. Next. And it gives us some of these generate select statement, insert the statement, and data mapping, table mapping. I don't want to use the others, only select the statement. So I just press finish, and that's it. SQL connection will be generated automatically. So this object manages their connection to the network connection to the SQL, and this manages the data manipulation. So now I have to show it on the screen. So how can I do that? I need some components to do that. Simply I can add some component like Datagridview is very simple and efficient component to show data. Okay, let's locate it here, and from this side to here. Okay, it's fine. Okay, I can just click here and choose data source, but unfortunately there is no data sources now. I need to have some data sources first. Okay, what happened? We did this one and this one, but we don't have still a data source because this component cannot access SQL directly. It needs another object. If I right click on this, I can generate a dataset. Dataset is a copy of a local copy of the data that SQL data adapter reads from the server. So I just click it, new dataset, dataset 1, and my table. That's it, using SQL data adapter 1, and add it to the designer. So if I click that one, I will have it here, right here, and now I can connect myself to this object. You see, I open it, project data sources, dataset 1, dataset 1, and my table. Okay, I have everything I need, so I just run it. Of course it's empty, but what can we do to make this one work? Okay, the reason is data adapter needs to be commanded to fill the data set. So I need to run a simple line of code to tell the SQL data adapter to read the database and fill the data set. So if I double click on this bar on the form, wherever, but because I filled it with this component, I don't want to double click on this component. I just double click on this one. I double click this one. It gives me another window that is for designing the code, writing the code and controlling the code. And it gives me a function, private void form1 underscore load. It means every time my form loads, this function will be executed. That's simple. So I just need to write SQL data adapter 1 dot fill and my dataset. If I use that one, you see dataset means I need a dataset object. So I write dataset, but when I generate the dataset, it generates a class from the dataset that calls it dataset1 and then generates an object out of it and calls it dataset11. I want the object one, not the class one. So I write dataset11. That's fine. This is the whole thing we need to do. If I run it, now I have my data here. Okay, but this is not enough. This application needs some modification. The first problem is I have something empty here. I don't want this one. I want this address field fills the whole area. So if I use the same thing, this arrow, small arrow here, I can edit columns. And I want to edit address column. I prefer to use A to Z. It's much easier for me. Okay. Now I have auto size mode, and this is not set, so I set it to fill. Now my column fills the whole the data grid view to the end. Okay, let's run it. Okay, fine. Another thing is there are some problems like this. If I resize, I will face some problems. From each side, there is problems. If I maximize, oh, that stays the same, it's not good. If I minimize, I don't know. So I have to deal with this problem. One of the ways to limit my form to expand, which is simple. I can just click on this one and I can come here to the properties, and I have something called form border style. I can just change it to fixed single. No, I run that. No, if I come to these borders, I cannot do anything to resize my form. But this one still works. I don't want this. So what can I do with it? I want to remove this button from my form. Simply I come here, I have maximize box. I just set it to false. No, this will be a grayed out button and it doesn't work anymore. That's fine. I cannot resize, I cannot do this, but I can minimize. Okay, that's fine. Another thing is this form one. Form one is not a very suitable thing here, so I want to change it to my contacts or contacts. So in the form, I click on this one, and the object properties, I have this property called text. I change it to my contacts. That's it. I have everything now. I save all. My project name is my contacts. I save it. And now I have my app running. Okay. But still another problem. When I have more than one, 2, 3 records, when all of them are white, it becomes hard to read if you want to look at them. So it's better to have one of them white, one of them the other color. And it is very simple to do such a thing in Visual Studio. Let's add some other records to see it better. For example, the name is Paul Smith, number something, and the address I don't know him. I just press enter. Now I have Paul Smith in my database. So I run it again. I will see it here. Everything is okay. Then I want to do something that makes this one alternatively gray, or for example red or blue and white. So if I click on this one on my data grid view, I have the properties. Now I have some beautiful property here, alternating row default cell style. Okay, when I go on it, it shows me a button with 3 dots. I click on this, then I have back color. The first one, I just select, for example, I always prefer the gray one. That's it. You have your beautiful data grid view now. You see, they are alternatively are white and green. Okay, that was your first tutorial for C# and SQL. I welcome questions in the comments below, and I will see you again in